Da da da! What's my good chair? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. Let people know I've gone live. And in the meantime, if you've never met me before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the inside. And I'm really grateful that I came up with that little spiel. It's comfortable, it's consistent, and it's truthful. It's something that comes from the heart. Even that da 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 and throwing out that energy, it is something that came to me. It wasn't something that was it was creatively inspired, no doubt about that, but that came from somewheres else. We live in a world that can do with a little bit of kindness, and kindness just walked in the door right now. If you've never met Tammy, this is our Tammy. She comes and hangs out with me almost every single night. She has been backtracking for months now in my content, and my content goes back like, 14 or 15 years, I think, Tammy. It's kind of embarrassing to say, but I think Tammy would be a better judge of that. If you have an idea of exactly how long my YouTube channel has been up and running, Tammy, if you would let me know. But I'm thinking 2014, maybe 12, 14 years. I'm suspecting this is my 14th anniversary coming up. Isn't that something that's amazing? You know, and that's only because of mindset, in all honesty. You know, I am not um, somebody who applies myself into religious ideas or spiritual ideas, even in the ideas of psychology, because, I understand everybody has a perspective, everybody has beliefs and knowings, to tell you the truth, because I've been under that spell of having my own knowings come across my path just out of the blue and just be 100% true for myself. In the science, I can ground in that, right? Because that is a human reality, the science. And I'm going to include all the sciences in that, because there are different categories in science, just like there's different categories in religion and in spirituality. And it's in that community that we all get to choose in our own lives. I've been delving deep, and not becoming an expert in any one perspective, but understanding, and it's one of my mottos here on this channel, that it takes all kinds to make the world. And being in that inclusion myself, right? I'm including myself in that equation, because we are a community and we do have to come to that understanding, meaning truth for ourselves and truth for truth's sake, that it really does take all kinds to make the world. It just can't be one dictatorship, one power, one religious idea, spiritual idea, because I find people like me everywheres. Not exactly like me, but because they're in different categories. They're sitting in different networks and communities, whether it's cultural, right? Whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual or political, right? Whether it is, in the entrepreneurs, there's a network in there, but it's where I fit in. And the entrepreneurs, they practice mindset, and it's where I feel comfortable. It's where I feel that I can make other people feel comfortable, because I feel that this is where we're going to find that we can get along with all kinds. I really do believe that it is about setting common values between all kinds, values that we can all live by, right? And also find ways, kindness, it's dispersed out there. I see it all the time, every single day. I actually search out kindness, right? And I partake in that receiving and giving of kindness, knowing that I'm just as imperfect as every other human, though other humans would maybe disagree with that, thinking that they are the be alls to end alls. But those are their communities, those are their networks, those are their perspectives. But at some level, for us to get beyond our differences, right? And when I say difference, it's good to be different. We should all be our own uniques, but we should be following common values. And we should struggle, and we should debate, and we should rub each other uncomfortably, because that's how we learn, right? But not in an aggressive way, not in a cutthroat, go for the jugular kind of way, but in good sportsmanship. In good sportsmanship. And even in good sportsmanship, it is difficult. They were saying during the soccer, world soccer, right? That the crime rate during the tournaments went up like 25% in the communities that were, right, highly invested in their teams. But it's a lot better than being all in, do or die, right? You take me out or I'm taking you out. That in that consideration and in that fair play and in good sportsmanship, at some point, we will become more tolerant of each other. And common values is a good place to start. When I first came in, woke up to some of these ideas and wanted to make some movement online and started coming into some of these topics, I was bumping into a lot of dynamic dynamic characters out there with some very headstrong ideas, not saying they were right or wrong, but very set in their way, in the way they felt, ready to go to war in their beliefs. But there's got to be a softening. I think a lot of what's going on in the world right now is to help to soften us like bread dough, right? To get us working so that we can sit in a pan and rise and be appreciated for the perception, the perfectness of what it gives us in that gift after it's baked. And in good sportsmanship, I think that's a good place to start. It always starts with tolerance. It always does. When you go look back through thousands of years, you can go back there. It starts with tolerance, and then it gets to acceptance, then it gets to welcoming, and then it gets to, is it even worth talking about? Because we've all come together. Think of the little black girl who got on a bus full of little white girls with cameras in her face and people holding billboards and people throwing food and garbage at her. Somebody had to start, right? And she started. There was another story where there was a, a black lady. She walked into Walmart, and in the old days, was it Walmart? Woolworths. There, it was a department store. And it had a one of those cafes inside the store with the little stools and stuff. And they didn't serve black people. And she sat down there, and she sat there all day until somebody would serve her a cup of coffee, right? There are people who sacrifice themselves, and that's really a sad thing to do because none of us should have to get to that point where we have to sacrifice ourselves for a cause. I truly believe that, right? And that's why I've left myself open. It's not to say that one day I might be smacked upside my head and right the next thing you know I'm a Greek Orthodox, or I'm all about Buddha, or I've become a Christian, right? Or Jehovah Witness, or a Mormon, right? Scientology. Like there's so many. And we can't exclude any of them because, well, the Jewish too. I forgot them, right? Of course. But that's why I have to be non denominational because of my motto it takes all kinds to make the world. And that has been rooted ever since I came in as a YouTube creator. Not just come into mindset, but come in as a YouTube creator because I was welcomed by all kinds. I really was. You know, there's so many people out there that go to bat, and they go to bat by themselves without the support. Lots of people say, "Ooh, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to stir the pot. Oh my goodness, my neighbor Joe would never speak to me again. I would love to jump in, but my neighbor Joe, he's all about this, whatever the conflict is, and he'll never speak to me again." Right? And yes, when you make a stand, there is that chance of stirring the pot and making people upset. But when you don't take a stance, that's turning the other cheek in something that you know that isn't right, right? And it has to start somewhere, and it always starts somewheres, and it always starts. Well, I was saying tolerance. It starts with tolerance, but no, it doesn't. It starts with that conflict with ourselves, and then that pushback when you've made that decision, right? In that conflict to move forward, to take a stand. And eventually, if we all stand together, right? And eventually that comes because as humans, we all know what's right and wrong. But the powers that be, they like to stir that pot and right? They don't want us all coming together, right? Kumbayaing and right? I'd like to teach the world to sing. It was a Coca-Cola commercial when I was a little kid. I loved it. right? I wasn't big on commercials. It was just a long span of waiting for my cartoon to come back on TV. But if it was that Coca Cola commercial, I was all about it. I like the toy commercials too. There were a lot of toy commercials when we were kids. The Rocket Sock'em and oh yeah, there were all kinds. I like the toy commercials too. That's all marketing, right? That's all put in there to get our attention, to stir the pot, get our emotions go, I want that toy. And you get that toy, and 10 minutes later, it just falls apart on its own, right? Because it's just junk. It's just the marketing that gets us. Did you check out those dumplings? The Woolworths lunch counter. Thank you, Tammy, for letting me know. Yeah, right. It starts somewheres. And, it's an unfortunate that people don't stick up for us when we're trying to stick up for ourselves. That's the truth. Nobody's coming to save us. We got to do it on our own. But eventually, if we do it right, eventually, if we don't give up, eventually, if we're creative in not pushing it aggressively on people, but just holding our own, holding our stance, being a tree, rooting ourselves. And, right, sometimes who's going to cast the first stone, right? And there is that guilt and shame when you stand in alliance with somebody or a network that is going to, right, ask for that, going to expect that. And lots of people, right, this, like the Second World War with Hitler and all of that, right? Do you think every German out there was for Hitler? No, right? It was survival. It was, oh, my neighbor's not going to be happy about that, or the school teacher's going to report me, or somebody's going to find out that I'm hiding Jews in the basement or up in the attic, right? And they instill that fear so that we don't come out of line in the expectations of others, right? But I think if we had common values, right, as a world, right, not just in communities, not just in small networks, because we live in a world now where we're this close to each other, right? We're this close to each other. We're really getting to know each other. We're really getting to appreciate each other. We're getting to see that a lot of those stories of that's the bad guy, right? Oh my goodness, don't associate with them because they're going to take us out, right? And that's not the case. Everybody just wants to be able to live their own lives, but the idea is to be able to live your own life, but to be able to have those skills and expectations, right? In I don't know if it's going to be like what do you call that? The Blue Organization for Peace. So my husband he was a peacekeeper. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't matter. Just to have a conglomerate of countries or churches, or maybe a spectrum of any organization that has a certain amount of people in its network that they get to have a vote and to come up like the Constitution of the United States of values that we all follow together, right? Yeah. Oh, you did watch some of those videos, did you? I don't think I watched any of the dumpling videos today at all, just for the fact that I was talking about them on my live show last night. I'm actually using my Be Kind cup, but I've got juice in them with ice cubes tonight. You look outside. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Those forest fires, I bet you they're coming into Michigan, aren't they, Tammy? I bet you your city is pretty smoky right now because they've drifted into Manitoba. I look outside and it's just cloudy with the smoke in the air. I actually went to the drugstore today to mail off get well card for Andrew and then to pick up a couple of things, and I walked outside and the smell and the taste in my mouth, right? It's getting pretty bad and we're only in the beginning of summer, right? Right? Be kind of nice if we all got together before then. Right? Because nothing is more amazing when we can all come together to do something wonderful, right? Alberta came to Ontario's rescue and sent out some water planes to help with the fires. Did you see that train video, Tammy? Yeah, I was talking to a few people that hadn't seen that video of that train being stuck in the middle of the forest during the fire. It was pretty frightening just being somebody who was watching it online. Yeah, they must have been terribly frightened being stuck there, and there was nothing that they could do because they were waiting for another train to pass them before they could get back on the track, right? And get out of that fire. So, yeah, that was pretty bad. Let me just come into the comments here because I missed some of them here. Um Happy anniversary to your YouTube channel, Cindy. No matter the date you started, happy anniversary to you, YouTube content maker and designer, and happy anniversary, Google girl. Aw, Tammy, you remembered it. I am a Google girl. I really am. Yeah, I'm so grateful, that I've been included, and even if I'm not a large YouTube creator, I have a voice as a small man. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And it has served me, if nobody else, it has served me so well, like so well that I'll never ever be able to pay back the kindnesses in what it has given me. And it would be hard for me to even explain all of what it has given me. It has rooted me. It has grounded me. It has pulled me along in this age of AI learning. And as somebody who's not technically inclined, that it has made it so much easier for me if I can follow instructions just to allow myself to my capacity, right? I don't go further than what my capacity is. Well, I do because my capacity is always changing because I get comfortable in what I'm doing. When I get comfortable in what I'm doing, that means I've got that down packed. And when I've got that down packed in the lessons of mindset, it's important at that point to add some more onto the plate. It's to always keep you in that sense. Once you're comfortable, when you're feeling anxious or, oh, I look funny or I sound funny or I don't have my information right or, right, that I don't have the right cameras, when we're all jumbled up like that on the inside, then that's where you stay, right? In the moment because you're in the right spot to learn all these things that get you all stirred up. But once you're all comfortable in that, it's time to add more onto what you're doing in your life. It's like me, was it today or yes, this morning? No, it was this morning. I wrote my post for Instagram and And the word I used, and I always use a word, right? I used the word rejection, and I wrote a post for it, and I posted it. And I've been doing that. I went back into my analytics on Instagram and I took a look at it and I saw, for 8 weeks now, I have been consistently every week posting, not necessarily on one specific day, right? But writing a post. And I think that's what I'm going to carry on with for now because that's giving me that creative learning to be good at the copyright, right? And it's also a way for me to show where I'm at. And it's also a way for me to serve because, these are powerful words that I'm sharing. But it's a way for people to get to know me too. But more importantly, I was in my comfort zone and I could have added something on to my channel here. But I have one show that's 5 days a week, and I have another show that I do on Sunday. So I'm here 6 days a week. And I'm pretty in love. Like you said, I'm a Google girl, right? So so I don't want to expand too far out. But I do love Instagram. Instagram is where I started with my landscape photos and it's got a place in my heart. So, in getting a reach and I did build up a following there that, I think that it will work well all the way around that, one day a week I'm in this idea that if I give one day a week over on Instagram until I'm comfortable. And then at that point, I don't know, add something else. Or maybe eventually add something else here. But at the moment, 6 days a week, you guys are going to get your fill. And because you're always here with me, Tammy, right? I don't want it to be a full time job for you, 100%. Okay, let me come back into the comments here. Cindy, serendipities and coincidences happened to me today with your powerful word, kindness. I was taking care of a Down syndrome young lady, and she was watching Sophia the first year. Wow. Beautiful. That's really beautiful, right? It takes all kinds to make the world. And again, those serendipities and those coincidences, like, it's a matter of paying attention at the patterning that comes into our lives. And that's 100% true. It's like watching for the patterning of, oh, I'm comfortable now. I got this down packed. And lots of us would say, oh, good, we got this down packed. Coach, remote control. Give me my A plus, give me my diploma, stick it on the wall, back to the couch with the remote control. No, right? You get up and you try something new and you expand. And who's to say, my channel, the way it is now, looks nothing like absolutely nothing than when I first started here on YouTube. And I suspect, I'm optimistic, in the next year, it's going to change a lot more in the seasons because in this season, I'm really exploring the inside, right? I'm really exploring the inside. But eventually, I want to get back on that road and I want to be back to exploring the outside. But in that amalgamation, that assimilation, that synthesis of two, because I explored the inside and the outside, right? That I can bring the two together in a dance that works really well, right? And when I do my Ontario Provincial Park tours, that is my opportunity to bring the two together because it's nature that grounds me. That 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 trip that I take every September. That's the stick with the bag at the end. That's my reward. That's the gift I give to myself in the application of what I do. And I also understand things come across my path and things walk off of my path, right? All the time. And the way my life is right now, even tomorrow, it might look different, right? And it's about being willing to change, right? But, in the moment, we're in Cindy's values, right? I set up boundaries and I work on my own set of values that I have sat in on conversations and different content creators and different thought leaders and different religious leaders and in lectures and scientists and psychologists and be able to take little bits and pieces of insights that fit very nicely in a package that makes it so they're my values, right? Because they're right. Like when I say right, that they're values that we could all do with a little bit more, right? But Cindy doesn't get to set the rules. That's why I say they're my values. And if they're my values, I have to have the boundaries up because most people don't care about my values, right? They don't care about any of our values, in all honesty. But without having those boundaries up, how can we interact with others in a way that makes it so, right, that we don't get stomped on, trampled on, right? That we won't be, well, rejection is something that always is happening all the time, whether it's vocally, physically, or in our heads. But it would be kind of nice if people would respect the work that each one of us gets to decide or not decide, right? For ourselves in how we want to interact with each other. And I've come to the conclusion if you don't want to interact with me, we're good. We're good. I wish you the best, right? But we got some pretty amazing people here. And I know some pretty amazing people out there. And I don't know some amazing people out there because it just hasn't come across my path yet. It's not to say that they never will, but in the moment, right? That's just not part of the expansion. Yeah, pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that's beautiful, Tammy. And the episode this young lady was playing and watching on YouTube was all about being kind. Wow. And did you sit with her when she was watching this? That's pretty amazing, right? That is pretty amazing. We should all aspire to be kind, right? And lots of people say, well, I don't have money. People take advantage of me, right? Take everything I have. But in all honesty, right? You don't have to have money. You don't have to part with your money, right? You can go into service, even if it's just in your own job. Tammy's in service. I feel I'm in service, right? And when you have that opportunity to give a little bit, it doesn't mean to give materially. You can give your time. You can give your shoulder to lean on. You can give an ear to cry into, right? Or to listen to the woes of somebody's life, just to make somebody feel like they're cared for, like they mattered. And sometimes, all the time, I would say that matters most, because that's something that most people are lacking in, right? That's why we have so many difficulties. That's why we need some good set of values that we can all move within, right? You know, yeah. We'll figure it out. Don't discredit the humans. We are pretty smart. And even though sometimes we're a little bit slow, pig-headed, right? That we'll eventually get it, right? And like I said, it'll start with some tolerance, then it'll come to acceptance, then it'll come to welcoming, and then it'll just be something that we don't even think about, right? And that's the truth. Um, I know you are, Cindy, and you love it. And what a great and amazing gift and opportunity you have at being a Google girl and YouTuber. You have a great platform and a great voice, and you are making a difference. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Tammy. Uh, that's truly impressive, Cindy, that you are on YouTube, channel 6 days a week with your chats and videos. It's just the way it worked out, and I'm glad it worked out that way, because I had a lot of work to do, and it is in showing up and in practicing your craft, right? And I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't show up as much as I did. And even though, right, it was a slow show, right? And the lessons took a long time, because, well, it's not always comfortable in the sharing of emotions, isn't it? And I was trying to use myself as that example in my own experiences. We like to close up, right? And especially when we lived with so much guilt and shame, and because we do feel that way, because it is embarrassing to look back at our mistakes and our failures, and truly look back at them and share them, right? And it can be uncomfortable, but in that repetitiveness, in that consistency of doing it all the time, you get to realize everybody's got problems. Every single person in this world has got problems, emotionally, physically, or mentally, or all three, right? Or a combination of the three. Uh, Tess and AI told her story about your channel, and I told her about my friend Cindy talking about kindness. She likes it too. Aw, thank you. Well, that's what it's about, right? Word of mouth, just in showing up. Sorry for the typos. Don't have to apologize, right? Don't have to apologize. Okay, you guys, let's just get into a word. It's kind of a weird sky. Smoke everywhere, some blue sky. The sun is shining on the clouds, so they're all orange, and it's getting dark and expected to rain really pretty hard for the next few hours. Probably they said 10 o'clock, so it's actually here in Winnipeg. It's 20 to 10, so it's going to downpour pretty hard, and I like the rain, right? And the trees like the rain, and grateful the wildfires don't like the rain. So it'll be a little bit smoky because of the rain, but I think it will help out lots. And we got to think, it's just not the trees, it's the wildlife too, right? Yeah. Okay, you guys, let's grab a card. 54 powerful words. I grab a card at the end of every night. Sometimes it's pertinent to the conversation, Sometimes it's not. We just go off in a different direction. Patience is the proofreader. Ah, it is pertinent to the conversation, isn't it? Because we always want things to happen yesterday. It's just that I'm so excited, I'm so optimistic in what AI learning can do for us right now as a world community, right? Not just as an individual. We all get to choose. We all use AI differently, but it is in that patience, understanding it's not going to happen yesterday. It's not even going to happen tomorrow, but it's a part of our evolution. It's part of that moving forward, right? And it's in that kindness we give to ourselves and that kindness that we give to others that eventually we'll get there, right? And we'll look back on these years, right? On these centuries, past few centuries, and right, maybe not have guilt and shame in that, but maybe a little bit of understanding that we don't always get it right, that we have to fail ourselves and fail others sometimes over and over and over again till it finally gets into our thick skulls. That's just not the way that we're going to be able, right, to move forward in our evolution. I really do believe that this is all about evolution. It's all about moving forward, right? And, there's a lot of great inspiration and aspiration out there in the world. And it's just a matter of, right, making that choice, right? Do we want to utilize this age of AI learning, right? How do we want to do that? Do we want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix? Do we want to play video games? Or do you want to, you know, search out those answers that you always had, but never had the opportunity or didn't know anybody who was an expert in that field? You know what? Just turn on the computer, right? Get a hold of your phone.
Part of your mind has been holding politely for an hour.
That was my computer. I had something on pause. I was in the middle of it. And yeah, I didn't want to leave off and miss the end of it. You guys, that's going to be my good cheer. Eugene, you made it in here tonight? Where's Eugene? Oh, there he is. Hello, Eugene. Hello. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us for a few minutes. Really appreciate that. Did you mention, Tammy, whether or not the smoke was coming down in Michigan? I'm suspecting that it is moving in that direction. Right? Hopefully this rain does us some good, right? We'll be patient in that to a certain extent. But I am optimistic. If we can get a big pile of rain, make it so moist out there that no flames can, right, take hold and cause havoc, that would be absolutely amazing. We got more important things to deal with, right? That's important to deal with. No doubt that's important to deal with. But we have other things that we need to deal with too. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. And we'll see you tomorrow.